Cheers.
There we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome,
Thank you, Steve.
into this edition of Road Trip, and I'm your host, Allie Clifton, Channing Frye, Richard Jefferson, and our guest today is, you could say, a man of many talents. Of course, he's the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, an 8-time NBA champion. No big deal. 5 as a player, 3 as a coach. He's a heck of a broadcaster.
It's above average at that. Definitely above average at that.
The only thing that my two guys really care about is he is the GOAT. I'm going to say this, of the Arizona family. We welcome you, Steve.
I will say this. He might not be the GOAT. I would say Sean Elliott, but he is definitely part of the apostles, right? If Coach Olsen is Jesus, you might be Abraham.
There wasn't an apostle. There wasn't an apostle named Abraham.
You know what? There was the other apostle. It was the apostle's cousin. It's just because your mother's a preacher. Your parents are preachers. You know the info, Richard.
You went to Catholic high school.
I did not, so I don't even know what you guys are talking about. So
yeah, thank you.
I don't know
let
any
our
of
guests talk.
Steve knows enough about me and Channing that he's just like, why did I agree to this? Why did I agree to this?
Dude, Steve, this is the best. I'm
going to be really honest, Steve. We were super surprised that you agreed. We're like, he knows it's me and Channing, right? They're like, yeah, he knows.
I think it's been long enough now since I've talked to you guys that I kind of forgot a little bit about what I was about you.
You've been in the bubble. You forgot.
And right now I'm drinking this is an Arnold Palmer.
Yeah. Oh, good for you.
But I really should have turned it into a John Daly before the podcast.
I'm not going to lie. John Daly.
You should have.
That's a pretty nice
drink. It's really nice.
I get it.
Steve, where do you come to us from right now? What bubble are you in?
Well, as Richard calls it, God's country, Rancho Santa
Portland.
Channing.
Actually, I'm in Rancho Santa Fe in North County of San Diego. Richard used to have a house down here.
Yeah, that did not go.
How long ago did you sell it?
I probably sold it like 5 years ago, and then I moved to Hermosa Beach. Well, I got kicked out of Rancho Santa Fe.
You did?
No, I wouldn't say kicked out, but more of like sell your home, sell your home, and don't come back. It was because it was me and Luke.
Luke's
when we were young. It was definitely Luke's fault. They discriminate against hippies up there. They don't like hippies, and so they had to get rid of Luke. But yeah, I missed it. That was, people don't understand, and all the fans that listen to our podcast, like, you used to talk at our basketball camp. And we used to hype you up so much. And then when we would play against you guys, like when we had those battles between the Cavs and Warriors, like, our fans hate you. Your fans hate us. And we're like, Steve Kerr's a really nice guy. And they just, the Cavs fans weren't buying it. They were not buying it. They didn't believe in it.
I hated that Jaron, Nick Uren, you, Andre, Sean Livingston, like half your team, I'm cool as shit with. And I was like, God, I have to learn how to hate you guys. So, like, and even Luke, our first year, was like, hey, you guys want to go out to dinner? And me and Richard are like, fuck you. So we're like, what's up? But I have to text Luke on the side, like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, we have to take this seriously.
Speaking of that,
it was horrible.
Did you have to deal with that too with Luke on your side then?
Yeah, Luke was always talking shit, especially to Richard. Because Luke and Richard, you know, they were boys. Best buddies, and owned this house together. And so the whole game, if Richard, you know, if he's in front of our bench, Luke is talking shit to him. It was highly entertaining. It really was.
You know what's funny about that is yesterday we were trying to get, since it didn't happen, we were trying to get Luke to jump on here halfway through and have this whole moment together. And Channing texted me on the side and was like, Allie, I don't know what's going on anymore because Richard and Luke just speak their own language. He's like, and I just
can't. Yeah, they just, like, the way they respond to things are so slow and, like, uninformative. I'm like, hey, we're doing a podcast at 4 today. Okay, we can't do that. Or like, hey, I have a test at 8. I'm like, okay, how long is the test? Channing, I'm doing a test at 8. I mean, dude, obviously the test is at 8. We're trying to get you on the podcast before 8 or after 8. Like, what are you hearing from me? But you know what? I get it.
I understand
so
everything. I understand everything. Luke is just in a bad mood because he's in the bubble. Yeah, there are years that you're okay with not being as good as you normally would. If you guys were in the middle of like a championship run right now, that one, which you guys will be right back there next year. You guys will be right back in the hunt next year. Are your guys healthy and ready to go? Are they excited? I want to know what your thoughts on the smaller bubble that they're planning.
Well, first of all, our guys are healthy. I saw Clay. I went and watched him work out a couple weeks ago, and he's doing great. Looks great, feels great, ready to roll. Steph's been working out. Everybody's good. So now it's just a matter of waiting and seeing what's going to happen. And yeah, we're planning on doing the second bubble in September, but everything's kind of day to day, as you guys know, these days. So we're just waiting to hear what the league tells us.
Damn.
Yeah.
Steve, here's a question. Here's an honest question. Was it when you got to the Warriors, right? Did you think they could have been as dominant as what you guys were? Or were you like, I think we could be really good, but did you in your mind say, dude, we can go and absolutely change the whole complex of the NBA? I know it's a crazy question, but I have to ask.
I thought we could be really good, and I knew we were getting a team that was ready to take another step, because we had I got there in 14, so Steph and Clay were right on the verge. Draymond, I think, had not started a game yet, but had a great playoff series against the Clippers the year before. Remember, they went 7 in that series.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Bogut was hurt that series, so they played small, and Draymond was amazing. And so we felt like we could be really good, but we had no idea that the team would emerge like that. And I think Draymond, because he had never started, we didn't know he was that good defensively. I know I didn't. And so he really changed things for us, just his ability to guard every position and be the player he is.
I thought it was that was a moment. Yeah, that was a moment where I don't want to call ever an injury being fortunate, right? But with David Lee's injury at the beginning of that year, it put David Lee was coming off an All-Star year, an All-Star caliber year, and was an All-Star the year before, I believe. And so then here he comes in, and you guys were not forced to play a certain way, but you decided to play a certain way, and you got off rolling. But had it not been for that the way David plays, he's a great scorer, great low post player, all these things, your style of play would have been different. So I'm not saying you wouldn't have got to Draymond in that small ball, but it kind of put you guys in that position pretty early.
It did. I mean, we were starting David in training camp, and he had a great camp. And like you said, he was an all-star maybe the previous year, a guy who had been a hell of a player, his whole career. And so I didn't go in anticipating that we were going to start Draymond. But David got hurt. He pulled his hamstring in camp. So we started Draymond. I think we started like 12-1 or something. And we were rolling. So I pulled David aside. He was getting ready to come back. And I just told him, we're playing so well.
That's a horrible conversation. I've had it many a times. Hey, Channing.
It looks like we're going to be doing better without you, Channing.
Yeah,
so...
we really feel like you can strengthen our second unit. You're like, damn.
No, but
went from 20 to like 6, maybe.
Those are the conversations that you have to have as a coach, and I had to have a similar one with Andre. Because and that one was planned. When we got there in camp, I knew our bench unit needed somebody like Andre and that Harrison Barnes would be better in the starting lineup. And so I relied on our Arizona connection with Andre to kind of build that.
You relied on Luke. Like, hey, Luke, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to keep an eye on Andre over there, because like we're on a text chain, like a bunch of Arizona guys, and it's just so funny. Like Andre is such a great dude, so awesome, such a competitor, but he's also a dick. And
he's such a dick.
And Luke is the nicest dude in the world. So you're like, hey, Luke, your first job as a coach, you're going to have to keep an eye on Andre and make sure. But was Andre receptive to it?
Yeah, he was. And he, it was the right time in his career. I mean, he had already played 10 years. He had been an all-star. He made max money. He was ready for a change and something different, and he recognized this was the best team he was ever going to play on. And then, ironically, he wins Finals MVP, and then the title of his book a few years later is The Sixth Man. So,
he
took to
it. He embraced that. And I'm gonna be honest, Steve. Like he just signed another great deal. You extended his career. His career. If he would have been playing 30 to 35 minutes over this last 5-year stretch, as you get older, it gets harder to do that, and it takes more out of your body. Your knees, your back, whatever ailments you might have are only going to get worn down quick. So really, you put him in a position to make so much more money on the back end because his career he's been able to embrace that role and do it at such a high level that he's still, even at today, like I think he just signed an extension with Miami, and he's an old man.
He came into the Chase Center this year. He signed with Miami, and I think like his second game was against us. He got a huge ovation, and typical Andre, he played like 20 minutes, 22 minutes, and you guys will know this. Like you look at the box score, and it's like 8 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, no turnovers, plus 27. Like, it was like every game. Like we just destroyed people with Andre out there, but he was beyond the stage of his career where he was getting numbers because he would just control games just because he was so smart and versatile. But he was unbelievable to coach, man. I love that guy. Did you guys both play with Andre or no?
No, just me.
I did.
Just Channing.
Just Channing wasted Andre's best years at Arizona.
I'll say this. Here's what I'll say. And you guys know I put Coach O above everybody else. But at that time, everybody had a position. You were a center. You were a forward. You were, a small forward. You were a shooting guard. You were a guard. Andre should have played point guard for us while we were there. He had the most triple doubles. He was really the point guard. He made the best decisions. I think Andre's mind, when it comes to basketball, is top 3 of anybody I've ever played with. That's including Braun, Steve Nash, Grant Hill, Vince Carter. Andre's mind, when it comes to basketball, is top 5 all time. He always does the right thing. Now, when he does the right thing and you don't, he's kind of a dick about it. Right? But he does not care about stats. He does not care about anything else except winning. And that, to me, puts him as like one of the most like amazing players I've ever played with. When we were at college, he was doing stuff to make so many other people better. We didn't even understand it at the time because the game was not ready for his versatility. He was like, and Steve will know, he was like our Scottie Pippen, where he would guard a center and then he would guard a guard. He would guard a 2 guard, then he'd guard a forward, or he'd guard a post-up guy. Like, Andre could do it all and just did it without saying, like, giving the attention for it. He just did it because it's like, I could do it and I want to win. And that, I hate saying this. I hope he doesn't listen to our podcast. He's worse than Richard when it comes to compliments.
Can we stay on the Arizona kind of theme thing, which pains me to say because, Steve, I'm sorry. I have to listen to these two brag about Arizona all the time. However, I did make a trip there over All-Star this year. We did a podcast on and I went to the arena, which was amazing. I give you guys kudos. Yeah,
McHale Center. It's a shrine.
it was pretty dope. But I've heard a lot of stories about their time at Arizona. And then I was told that you were there when the Revenge of the Nerds was
Yes.
made. what kind of stories can you shed for us? By the way, I haven't seen it. So
You have seen
You
it?
haven't
or you
seen
have
shit.
not?
yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot. That one included. But when I heard that you were there during that time and I was going to hear about it, I'm like, I should probably watch.
Well, my wife was an extra. So,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
yes. Yes. she
Margot,
was-
what you doing?
Right? But we still, my kids and I have all looked for every time that movie's come on, and there's still no sign of her. But she claims that she's in the movie. Channing, if you next time it comes on, if you see her, let me know.
Listen, I'll watch it tonight. We've been watching, due to Corona, we watching everything.
What are some of your favorite memories of Arizona, Steve?
Well, going to the Final Four in '88 was an incredible memory, and I was actually there Coach Olson's very first year. We were horrible, so it was it was pretty incredible just to see the rise and be part of that the first few years where Coach O just built it from nothing, literally nothing, to we were in the NCAA tournament my sophomore year, and that started the streak of I think it was 25 or 27 straight.
Steve, why?
What's that? What are you upset about?
Did you hit a nerve?
Yeah, Richard's going to bring it up, but my year was the last year.
Okay,
We lost to Illinois to not go to the Final Four.
I remember
a little shoddy internet.
that was
It hurts my
Oh,
heart.
we're talking about the Indiana game or the Illinois game.
We're talking about the streak that was started with
Richard
Steve and
loves
ended
us.
with Channing.
Richard loves to see me like cry on the inside. It's disgusting, Richard.
Oh yeah, Channing was the first. He was the first freshman through senior group to not make it to a Final Four.
ooh.
Steve, you don't know about that because you went to the Final Four. I know about it.
You went,
Here's Channing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
dude, we went. Here's Channing.
You know what I blame? I blame the AAU culture. I was the beginning of that, so I blame that culture. What else can I blame? Hold on.
Yourself,
Can I got to tell you my story about that game.
please.
Go ahead.
Please.
I was on an airplane. This was it 2005?
2005? Is that different than 2005?
2000? What year was it?
2005.
Sorry.
2005.
You said 2005.
So I was on a plane
Uh,
from New York to San Diego, and I decided I was going to tape the game, and I didn't check the score or anything, and I land and I look at my phone and I've got 20 messages, and I'm like, man, people would not be calling me if we lost, right? So I'm excited. I'm like, oh yes, we won. So I hit the first message. I say, screw it. I can't wait. I got to find out what happened. I hit the first message. It's my buddy, Danny Ferry. Danny says, Stevie, congrats. You guys are going to the Final Four. Amazing. You guys are up 15, 3 minutes to go. I'm so happy for you. And I'm in the airport like, yes. Yeah. I was so excited. And then the very next message, it's my wife. She goes, do not watch the game. And that was it. And now I'm completely confused. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And that's when I
had to play it. It was absolutely unreal because I've never, and now looking back, I have to give credit where credit is due. Illinois guards started playing out their mind. We got very comfortable at the pace of the game, and when they pressed us, They got so many points off turnovers, and they were shooting from God knows where. In 2005, people were not shooting where Steph is shooting from. But Darren Williams, Richard, shut up. Richard, you didn't win a championship till I was there. So let's talk about that. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, I guarantee you, speaking of that championship, Steve was very worried every time you stepped on the court.
Steve used to put in guards every time. He wouldn't let me play against Bergeau. Fucking Steve. Steve, I try to tell everybody this. Please, we're the fans.
You feel bad at all that every time that Channing went to the scorer's table, you sit the guard in there.
Like a dick. And I couldn't even be mad.
I'm going to let you guys handle this.
No. I was like, fucking Steve. Every time Bergeau would go in, T. Lou was like, yo, Channing, get in there. I would run, and Steve goes, man, Channing, come on. Andre, get in. I'm like, God damn it.
Well, you had just hit like 8 threes every game in the conference final. Like we are not going down that path.
No, hell no. Listen, I'll tell you this. I played 4 possessions. I think Steph got a switch every time, and I say, you know what? This ain't me. This is Braun and Kyrie's time. Look, they don't my checks ain't worth this amount. I don't move my feet like this. I'm not that talented. I got you here. It's up to y'all. I tell LeBron this. I'm going to tell you this. Sometimes you need somebody to boost you to the spot, and then after that, it's up to you. For me, I was there right next to Delhi and Mozgov and Mo Williams. We were chill. We just knew it was our time.
I've been there many times. You still got a ring, right?
Ooh, you know what? You know what? I look at it every day.
It's easy for Steve to talk about that because he's got like 9 rings.
Steve, let me ask you this question because we talked earlier about how tough it is to have those conversations as a coach with players. You talk about the way in which you won your rings as a player, but you were also a GM in Phoenix. What is the harder role, the harder position? Being a coach, a GM, or being a player winning titles?
I think being a GM is the hardest position. I think, coach, you're on the floor every day. You really have I don't know. You kind of know what you need to do. If you're a GM, you have a blank slate. You have a million opportunities to do whatever you want, and you have to chart your own course. As a coach, you look at your roster. It's not that hard if you know basketball. If you get along with people, you kind of lay it out and give the team your vision, and you find the lineups that work. And as a player, we've all been playing our whole lives. If you get to the NBA, generally you've played your whole life and you love the game, you just play. Being a GM that's the hardest. I was not a good GM. Although I did sign Channing off the scrap heap, so.
Yeah! How you convinced me to turn down $20 million to take 1.2 for 2 years, I still to this day don't know.
What?
You didn't know that?
Somebody was giving you $20 million. I would have told you to take the $20 million.
No. But listen, here's the deal. At that time, off the books, somebody said, hey, your value is this. Now, we can't officially offer you that. But I knew, for me, if I would have taken that 20, because remember Travis Outlaw took that 20, right? He took the 20 the year before I did. And he was put in a position to be okay, but I didn't feel like they were developing him or like investing in him. And so when I got to talk to Alvin and you and Griff and everybody, I was like, dude, you guys are going to like give me a chance to be me. And like Alvin goes, hey, I'm going to give you a chance to start and you probably might start half the games. And I said, dude, half? Shit, I'll take half. Pretty better than 0. And no lie, if you look at 2010, I started half the games with Robin Lopez. And Alvin would tell us the week before, he goes, hey, we're playing so-and-so, Robin and Amari are going to start, or Channing and Amari are going to start, or Lou Will. Whenever we play Golden State, he'd be like, Lou Will and Amari would start, just because of the lineup. And so for me, I respected that. Like, I didn't care about starting or sitting or whatever, just because you're going to get minutes if you're balling, if the lineup is right. And so, like, that type of attitude and that type of opportunity was something crazy other than, like, well, I have my 5, those guys are going to start over everybody. Now, that's rare in the NBA. You get a starting 5 that is literally a better matchup than everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? For me. You know, like, listen, you got 10 teams that can do it. The rest, you may have to move some things.
Steve, I know it's been a hot minute, but I actually have a question that'll come off of it. What do you think of the Bulls documentary?
It was fun to watch just because it was, it was a long time ago now. And a lot of that footage we hadn't seen. I hadn't seen. So I watched it with my kids, and they were fascinated. They were little toddlers at the time, so kind of fun to look back at it.
Isn't it funny how much, like, the NBA has changed from, like, when I was a rookie, even in your last year, to now. But, like, 10 years prior, 15 years prior, from, like, your first year to your last year, isn't it crazy the things that were just kind of acceptable? And it still is like modern basketball. Yeah. Like, late 90s basketball is modern basketball. Same coaches, still players, stuff like that. Bench just retired. And it's just, but it's completely different.
Totally different. Yeah. Like 8 people standing in the lane all the time. Nowhere to go. And all of a sudden, 10 years later, it's like that everybody can shoot a 3, Crazy. Nobody can shoot a 3 now.
No one could shoot 3. Even you, it's like, you think about, that's why it's so hard to compare eras when you're like, oh, well, Steve Kerr, or how many 3-point shots Larry Bird did, made. And you're just like, well, look, at the end of the day, Channing, what are you and Herbert doing? What is Channing doing?
Dude, I barely hear you guys. My speaker went out somehow. This is some bullshit. My speaker went out. Like,
this is every episode.
Hold on, I got a little speaker here. Hold on, don't worry about me.
No idea why we have.
Y'all keep going. Fans. This looks interesting. I just can't hear you.
Steve,
it's very interesting. I think it's good.
When I go back and watch that,
here we go.
Know people. Oh my jeez.
It's a picture that's gonna look real good right now.
No, we make Lute Olson look like a saint. We make Lute Olson look like a saint. What I was gonna say is, like, as much as, like, I love Draymond, I had him as a rookie. I would pick Draymond on my team any day of the week. But with all of the stuff going on, like, when I was like, man, Steve does such a good job of managing those personalities. And then I go back and watch the Jordan documentary and I'm like, oh, that's why Steve is so good at managing a bunch of crazy so good at managing a bunch of crazy personalities.
That's my exact question, because I'm going to throw this out there. I admire Draymond. I do. I admire him from afar. I always have. I grew up a huge college basketball fan, so watching Ohio State, I'm from Ohio, the Michigan State thing. I admire him. But there was always something that, like, especially covering that series, as a sideline reporter for the Cavs, Steve, I always wondered how and why you're so successful at managing that energy, that fire, and doing it in such a positive way, like encouraging Draymond. And I imagine that it has a lot to do with your relationship with him, but just what that's like. And then to Richard's point, you watched then that Bulls documentary and, like, wow, you kind of understand where your experiences were and have a better understanding, I guess, of what that relationship is.
Yeah, I've had some great mentors, between Coach Olson and Pop and Phil Jackson, Lenny Wilkins. I mean, I've played for nothing but Hall of Fame coaches, and Phil in particular, he really taught me the importance of kind of letting people be who they are. As long as they stay on course during the course of the season. If they veer off course, you try to nudge them back on, but you have to let people be who they are to get the most out of them. And Draymond's strength is his emotion and his passion. So, sometimes it goes over the top and it bubbles over but at the end, like Richard said, we're rolling with Draymond every day because he's a winner and he's loyal and he's an unbelievable competitor. And so it's, you just try to find that balance, let him be himself, but keep trying to push him,
If Draymond were to tell you he needed 2 days to go to Vegas just to blow off some steam in the middle of the season, what would your look it worked for Dennis, and like you were there for that. Like, let's not even say Draymond, because I don't want to make it seem like Draymond is such a professional. I don't want to make it. I don't want to put his name on that. But let's just say a player.
Sure. I've actually done that.
Oh,
not Vegas, but I talk to guys periodically and just say.
I think I remember this a little bit of, maybe there's a golf trip somewhere. I think I've heard some of these stories, Steve. We don't have to get into any details.
There may be golf involved. No, I think that was definitely something Phil was really good at. And Pop was good at that too, like recognizing that the season is such a grind that you gotta get away every once in a while. And you can't exactly say, all right, take a week off and go to Hawaii. So you got to pick your spots and give somebody a day off. Or if you're on the road somewhere, go do something different. Try to get the guys in a position where they can fill up the cup. That was Pop's phrase. He always talked about filling up the cup. You guys, get away from the game for a day, go fill up the cup, go do something fun. We try to do that because the season's too long. Otherwise, it'll just grind you down.
Yeah, especially when it's long over multiple postseasons.
Yeah.
Is that why the biggest thing is just because the season's just too long?
Yeah, and too emotional. And I mean, Richard and Channing know it as well as anybody. I mean, when you go all the way to the finals, the emotional stress is worse than the physical stress. You got two straight, and you have game one of the series, and then you have the next day off. It does not feel like an off day because you spend the whole off day thinking about your performance in game one and what you have to do in game two, and then you multiply that, and then the next series and the next series after that, and after a couple of months, you can't.
It sucks.
Just how mentally tired you are. And then to do that multiple years, like you guys did, like we did, I mean, it's just it's exhausting, and I think that's why ultimately you just aren't going to see teams make runs, much longer than 4 or 5 years. It's just too much. I think one of the most incredible stats of all time is LeBron going to the finals 8 straight years. That's insane to me. Is it 9?
Yeah.
Is it 8?
No, it's 8. It's 8. He's been there 9 total times. I think the biggest trippy part for me is that he went to Cleveland, obviously, and Kevin Love, Kyrie, no playoff experience, not a lot of playoff experience on that team, and still took the team. Kevin gets hurt, Kyrie gets hurt, but it was just even, and then I think his most impressive years to me, outside of the championship, is the first year where Kevin got hurt and taking a very inexperienced team, and then his last year where they lost to you guys in 2018, watching him do that with not nearly the same amount of talent as he had in the prior couple of years. Like that's exhausting. Poor guy.
Yeah. But everyone's always marveled at his physical endurance and strength, but the mental grind. I mean, you just think about, the Last Dance and the Bulls run. I mean, that Michael faced the same kind of scrutiny, maybe even more so than LeBron, although in a different era, so it manifested itself a little differently. But Michael went away. He had enough. He said, "I'm going to go play baseball for a couple of years," and he returned totally rejuvenated because he got some time off, and I think he needed that desperately. And you think about LeBron, he's a machine, man. He just keeps going and going and going. It's incredible.
Steve, would you have taken less money to stay, or would you have stayed? MJ was like, "We could have got these guys back." Would you have stayed?
I saw that. It was really funny because he said that at the very end of the
very end. Yeah.
Yeah, and he specifically mentioned Judd Bushler, bear down.
Yeah, bear down.
He goes, those guys would have stayed. He's like, Judd, Steve, they would have taken 1-year deals and stayed. Judd and I, neither one of us had ever made like big NBA money at that point. And that summer, we both got paid for the first time in our careers.
Yeah, you were gone.
I was gone.
Oh,
I went to the Spurs. He went to Detroit. We both bought our houses.
You bought that house you're living in right now.
Where I'm sitting, there's a pool on the other side of my computer. The Spurs paid for that pool.
That's so everybody, you heard it here first. We love MJ. He is the basketball Jesus. But at the end of the day, some of these guys are going to leave. Scottie Pippen was going to take that money. Everybody was like, MJ, we appreciate this, but we got to go.
Yeah.
We got to go. Rings can't feed families.
Yeah.
Rings don't feed families.
I want to live in North County of San Diego when I'm done, MJ.
Yeah.
What was it like being a teammate of his?
It was interesting because he just lived a different life. You know, he couldn't go out, so he just stayed in his suite with his security guys, and they played cards every night. And you know, the rest of us would go out, and he just would never really socialize much. But he was. I thought the documentary captured it really well. Like he was so dominant, and so you just kind of knew if you just did your job, you were probably going to win the championship. So it was a pretty good deal.
I want to talk about, because Steve, you have a unique, perspective because you played in so many different areas. You've coached against so many great, but you've been in the broadcast booth, and I, remember watching you there. I actually stole one of your things. I give you credit often because you, when I was starting to doing this and traveling, working, like there's so many games and you're trying to do these notes. And then I got like the best player on my high school team, one of my best friends to this day. He helps do all of the notes for me. And then I study said notes. And so, that was the trick that I picked up. I overheard you talking about it at one point in time. Like you watch the games, but those notes are the bitch. Yeah. Those are the real bitch. But how do you think that the game is covered now? Like it's just 24-hour, and it affected your team, not in in a different way, but just that you guys are the best team and you have so much attention. Like you've been in the media, you saw how Jordan was covered, you've done all of these things. Like how do you think that the media is covering teams? Do you think it's too much? Do you think there's too much 24-hour news cycle when it comes to the NBA?
Yeah, but I think it just mirrors life, I mean, I think there's too much coverage of everything to the point where like all day, every day on social media, everybody's going back and forth, whether it's about politics or sports or whatever. And so, back then, like when I was a broadcaster, it was kind of before Twitter really became a big deal. When I was a player, I mean, social media didn't exist. The internet, was in its infant stages. So you could get away from everything pretty easily. If you just avoided the turning on talk radio and you didn't read the morning paper, you could leave practice, go home, do whatever you wanted to do, go to sleep, and you wouldn't hear or see one thing about the Bulls or the NBA. And if it was really easy to make that decision. And now you can't do it because we all have this stuff coming directly into our phones, and we're all addicted to our phones, and the information is constantly streaming in. And so it makes it really hard, I think, to be an athlete or somebody in the public eye just because you're being judged 24/7. And it does causes just a lot more possibilities for friction.
Mm-hmm. Dude, here's the thing. When Steve talks, I kind of listen. Because I remember after the San Antonio series, when I was in Phoenix, Steve sat me down when we were playing the Lakers, and I had literally, reached the bottom of the barrel. Remember, I was shooting 1 for 20 or something like that? And Steve goes, Channing. He sat me down and goes, Channing, did you ever think you would be here? And I said, fuck no. I said,
neither did I, Channing.
You have a great wife. You have a kid on the way. Your life is good. Go out there and just hoop and have fun. And he gave me some story about how when he was on the Bulls, he was missing a lot of shots, but he made a bunch. And then, but all I heard was, Chen, go out with your wife, have a good dinner, grab a bunch of drinks, and just realize where you're at in life. And it'll all come to you. But literally, he told me that before Ron Artest caught that air ball, the night before Ron Artest caught that air ball and made that goddamn layup. And no offense, rest in peace, Kobe. He was out of bounds. But it changed my life because my attitude about everything was, dude, even if I absolutely suck today, this is awesome that we get to play basketball. So my whole attitude towards basketball changed from that moment because if Steve would have known, I was crying in the car after every game. Like, you're shit. You're just shit.
Now I feel bad for texting you.
Yeah, you're ruining for everybody.
Yeah, I felt bad.
Dude.
And isn't it funny, though, because Steve's had so much impact on both of us in that sense. What a jerk.
Dude, what a jerk, Steve. But it was crazy because I was like, you're ruining for Steve Nash and Grant Hill. You're ruining. Make a shot. And I was in the gym, and even the coach was like, Chenny, you cannot shoot anymore. Like, stop shooting. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's not getting any better. We're already in fucking, like, almost June. We're like May 30th. Like, it either it is or it isn't. And I just didn't get it. I just wanted to win so bad. I was like, just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. And they were like, Channing, like, you're not going to. God damn, kids. Anyway. But Steve changed my whole attitude.
You know that you had this impact on Channing.
Oh.
Well, I'm glad that helped. Because I used to do the same thing as a player. I would just beat myself up, and it was so unhealthy. But I got to tell you guys this. There's obviously the Arizona connection, the Bear Down connection, but when you guys went to Cleveland, you guys changed that team. And Allie, you can probably attest to this since you were around, but I knew this because I knew David Griffin so well. We had worked in Phoenix together, and that was a pretty tight locker room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You guys went in there, and all of a sudden it was party central.
It was.
And the jokes are flying around, and and Luke and I sat there, and we were like, "Fuck, Richard and Channing changed the chemistry in that locker room. We don't need that to happen." I'm being dead serious. We knew this. We knew that you guys had that kind of energy and humor that changed kind of the vibe. And I think that what you guys brought to that team made such a big difference. And we could just feel it as opponents. Yeah. It was a different team when you guys were there. It was just there was a level of chemistry that hadn't been there before.
Steve, you could have traded for me though. I was in Orlando, Steve. You let me go to Orlando, and you could have traded for me.
I was trying. I made the pitch, Channing.
You made the pitch. Luke shot him down. Luke was like, I don't think we need this type of person.
Dude.
Luke and Andre. They went to Luke and Andre. He's like, Luke, Andre, what do you think? We can get Channing Frye. We have to give up a 3rd-round pick and cash considerations.
You have to give up two buttons and 3 lint balls.
No, we have to give G League tickets and stale popcorn. And they were like, no, we can't. No,
we have to give one of them meals from the bubble.
This is what I remember when either one of you guys took a shot in front of our bench. Luke would sit right on my right. And every time one of you guys would go up for a shot, Luke would yell out, "Hell no!"
That's crazy. I only took 2 shots, so shit, it was crazy.
Well, Richard, then it was usually Richard then.
It was usually I hated.
He would turn and he would look at me with that Luke Walton grin, like, And
got him.
like he has
with a lipper.
lipper, like
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. It's like, yeah. You think I got him there, Steve? And I hated your whole coaching staff. I hated Chris. I hated Jaron, who, obviously I played with Jason for so many years that me and Jaron became really, really good friends. You, obviously, I can't stand Steve. So it was such a funny, series because there was just so much connection going back and forth. But, Steve, I appreciate you coming on here, man. I know Channing talks about those moments. I kid you not. I remember receiving that text from you, and you were like, "I'm watching when we beat you in San Antonio before you went all Benjamin Button on me." Do you remember sending me that text after we won, saying congratulations? But I stand by it. Watching you guys and learning those lessons from my second year. That's why I was so locked in, so focused in years, 15. So. As much as we could say Cavs fans, as much as you might hate Steve Kerr, as much as you might hate the Warriors, he's had such a profound impact on myself and Channing, which ultimately helped us get it done in Cleveland.
Hang on. Could Cavs fans really hate Steve Kerr when he played Cleveland?
Yes, they can. Yes, really? They can. Yeah, 100%. They hate Steve.
It's Steve's fault.
It's all Steve's fault.
Steve was on the phone three-way with Draymond when they got KD. That's his fault.
And on top of it, Steve has a striking resemblance to a young Craig Elo, so that just pisses him off even more.
Hey, now, I am born and raised in Ohio, and I have been a Cavs fan my entire life. I need you to stop that right now.
He looks like older Zach Kwiatkowski from.
You're going to make a shitty reference that no one's going to get. Look, even the joke died. It died instead.
It took a dark turn.
Okay.
We can't thank you enough for spending
Thank you
time
so much,
with us.
Steve.
You're amazing.
I got to tell you, that was the most entertaining podcast I've ever.
Well, good. That means that one day we're going to have you back on, and you're going to be like, "Oh, these idiots. Yeah, I'll talk to them."
Dude. That's what we're doing. Shit. This is really what we do.
The beauty of this, though, I feel like, is just a couple months ago or maybe weeks ago. Now all these social media trolls out there will understand when Richard says that he can't stand Steve Kerr, and they take it very serious. The connection runs much deeper.
Yeah.
But I liked it when they didn't know.
Yeah, we like the trolls. Well, I don't like the trolls.
It's more fun to troll the trolls, isn't it?
Whoa.
Channing learned a lesson when he said that Michael Jordan only just had to focus on offense. That kind of that trolling didn't go well for Channing.
Hey, before we go, I got to tell a Marv Albert story because when I was doing a game with Marv and when Hendricks was born, Channing, who were you playing for at the time?
Phoenix.
Okay, so it was after I left.
2011. Yeah.
2011, yeah. So I left as GM.
After you got lowballed.
And I went back to TNT. and Marv is on air telling the story about you naming your son after your elementary school, Hendricks. Was it your elementary school?
No, it was actually Jimi Hendrix. I just happened to go to Hendrix Elementary School.
Oh, you just happened to? Okay.
Yeah.
There was a story about the fact that your kid's name had the same name as your elementary school. Okay?
Right.
So Marv, who went to school in New York City in public school, he turns to me and he says, "And Steve, I thought briefly about naming my son PS 109."
God, I love Marv. Marv's voice and everything about him, and it's just like you worked with so many great people. I've sat next to Ian Eagle, and sitting next to those guys, doesn't it make the job so easy?
Legends, Ian legends. Marv was amazing to work with. Yeah. It makes the job so easy when you work with him.
Steve, I'm with the TNT crew now, so I randomly see. Well, every Thursday I see Shaq, Kenny Charles, Ernie, all those guys. So
do they talk to you, Channing? Do they talk to you?
Richard, you're with ESPN. I'm not allowed to talk to you. So another way. Listen, I'm sitting in the leather couches, you in them fold-out church seats, homie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you do. You got a good gig. I don't. Can you believe they gave Channing a job right away, Steve?
I have my own show. What's crazy is more relevant than it ever has been. And I can't even do it because people watch like social media and regular TV at the same time. Like social media runs what people think is hot or what's not. Like Twitter is absolutely amazing when it comes to basketball. But anyways,
Yeah,
the TNT
for
family is the best.
Steve, we appreciate you.
Thank you. Side seat. Yeah.
We
This is
love
where
you,
Star
Steve.
Seat, it gets off the ropes. You're the best, man. Congratulations on being out the bubble.
What do you guys say in Arizona? That could be our finishing.
Bear down. Bear down.
Bear the fuck down. Bear the
BTFD.
fuck down.
Another.
What are you saying, Toledo? Go Tornadoes.